Hi everyone. Hi, it's Kelly from MOONTON Games, and I'm very happy to have Kalyani and also Keerti joining me here for this session on embracing women's empowerment and diversity in gaming. So, I have a very big question to ask the both of you. Uh, Regarding the current, I would say, landscape of women's empowerment and diversity in gaming, how do the both of you feel about it right now? Because gaming has been, been present for quite a while, but however, one thing that is still a question to I think many young women out there is whether or not if gaming platforms are actually still safe, or do you guys feel that it's a place that actually inculcates toxicity? That's something that I would like to hear from the both of you first. Anyone can start first. Yeah.
Keerti, do you want to start?
Sure. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Kalyani. Glad to be part of the panel. And yeah, I think gaming is not probably a very conventional industry when it comes to the gender roles in it. And over time, it has evolved. But I think it is also replicative of what has happened in other industries as well. In general, the challenges that women have taken in different industries has evolved over time, and I think gaming is one such sector where, with increasing awareness, people are realizing that it's a viable career option for a lot of women. And with more awareness and people actually seeing successes, I think it is becoming an interesting area for women to actually deep dive in. And I see that it is something which is only getting better with time. And gaming is all about user emotion, user experience. And I feel that users are both men and women. So if the consumers are both men and women, then the people making it also need to be representative of what the consumers are going to be.
Totally agree with you. How about your thoughts, Kalani? How has I would say gaming, in a way, as a whole, in terms of the industry, the environment, how has it changed for you? Before we kind of like broach on to your, I would say, perspectives as having joined the gaming industry for quite a while already, and how it has also evolved. From my perspective, I feel that it has definitely been a lot more inclusive, but I would like to hear more about how is it like, and what do you think?
Yeah, I think I second what Keerti says. It has improved or grown and evolved from the place it has been, and we see more females who are gamers out there, or even within the career aspirants and people who are working in the industry. That the proportion of females or people who want to get into the industry and are there in the industry is improving. That being said, there is still a long way to go, but we do see that people have enough support. There is enough acknowledgement of the issue that there this needs to improve. And so, to your original question of do these platforms inculcate toxicity or anything, I think the platform by itself doesn't do that, but as Katie said, it's a representation of other industries or the larger society on how we look at certain things or how certain experiences evolve. But at the same time, I think we've done a good job of improving or moving ahead from the place it has been, um, and it's still going at a good momentum. So yeah.
Definitely. I think even from my end, gaming, especially in Asia as well, or rather Asia Pacific in particular, is definitely, I would say, evolved into something becoming a lot more of a positive momentum and positive, I would say, women. So when I say women societies, there's actually quite a lot of, I would say, women in gaming groups that actually encourage and empower women to take on more, I would say, C-level suite roles, and roles that are able to make a very big punch or impact. But that being said, however, there's still quite a lot of challenges, I would say, especially from an entry level position, especially when it comes to women who want to break into esports as well. What are some of these challenges that you guys see from your perspective? Maybe Kirti, you can go first.
Uh, Kelly, I was not able to catch you fully. So basically, is the question more about there are women at entry level roles, and how does that translate into senior positions? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, currently right now there are still I would say like more women, especially those who are still in pretty much mostly entry level positions. And would you say that from your perspective there are not enough women in C-suite or executive board level positions, especially in gaming?
Got it. I think this circles back to the fact that if anybody has to be at a senior level, or if somebody who's in a leadership role, they need to have sufficient experience in that field, right? And you don't fill positions based on certain quota, right? At the end of the day, what we aspire is that people should hold positions by merit, and with that merit, obviously you may bring certain perspective and certain experience, but people would also want bit of a domain expertise. And that's where I feel that mobile gaming as an industry itself is about probably 15, 20 years old. It's not something that is like a 50, 60 year old industry. And how gaming was initially perceived was also, I would say, a bit of a risky industry. I can speak from my own experience. When I was doing my MBA, nobody spoke about taking a gaming job. Everybody would think about making a career in a financial institute or becoming a consultant. And I think, again, as like, I don't feel very proud about it, but in general, I know that a lot of people uh, raise girls thinking that they should become doctors or engineers, they should pick up the traditional roles. So the risk appetite is slightly low for us. And obviously, time is changing that, and I'm very happy about it. So I think that has translated, where how gaming started, the infusion of men was much more, and obviously they have had a broader experience of gaming to be actually more competent at the senior level. But I think this equation will change over the course of next 5 years, because the women who have now entered into gaming will be able to compete for those senior positions very soon.
I feel the same way as well. And sorry, maybe just to sort of like expound on what I actually meant was that generally, especially coming from this side of the world as well, especially for Southeast Asia, uh, there isn't a lot of women currently right now in I would say executive board positions, even though they are, I would say, quite qualified too, even though they have the experience already, even though they've already been in the industry for, say, for example, like a decade. And that was something that even from my end, I noticed as well. There could be a lot of factors behind it, but maybe Kayani, can I also get like your perspective as well? Do you see the same, or maybe is it because like the perhaps maybe certain skill sets are not a match from your end when it comes to I would say barriers or inequality basically, especially for like executive board positions for women entering into that level of experience.
Sure. I think what just continuing from what Keerti said, that the proportion of women who have that experience is lesser than men, but they do exist. It's not like women don't have that experience. But in terms of getting to the executive level or the C-suite level, there are other factors that come into play, and the environment or the industry, overall tech industry has evolved. But for someone to reach to a executive position now, they would have had to have a good environment, a supportive environment, say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And we've seen how things have evolved. So along with having the expertise or the required chops for the job, it's also about having like a baseline good environment, and not having any issues with the place you're working at, having enough support in terms of, say, mentors, people who are there to guide you, help you grow, or in terms of just benefits that, say, companies can provide, which if you think about a mid or senior level female, there are other personal things in their life that they would need uh, to have enough support on to be able to do their job. So there are these things and factors that come into play as well, along with expertise, which affect how women themselves take these decisions, whether to continue, grow into the next role or not. And I think seconding what Keerti said, people who are there in those uh, running areas now, that they'll be the next executives or C-suite females. I think they have that environment, and we are going to see that change and better representation in the future.
I really agree. Um, Another
Yes.
very interesting
Uh,
perspective and question. Sorry, Kirti, I cut you. Yeah.
No, I was just saying that the other missing link here could be certain role models. I think, the moment you see women, who would have made a strong mark, and people are able to see them and, get inspired from, that is also going to help uh, people aspiring for it, even the others who are making these decisions, whom should I promote, to actually feel more confident that these use cases are out there.
So basically, we need more people to kind of like, I would say, step up and be a representation of becoming change makers or being very outstanding in their own right. And I think I agree as well. Recently, from our end, we highlighted several women initiatives, and especially empowering women as well from our end. It was quite interesting because actually when our company did that, we saw quite a lot of women actually stand up, and they were also commentating and kind of like applauding some of the Women's Day initiatives, especially highlighting some of the, I would say, unknown or entry level positions that we had as well. So it was quite interesting to learn, I would say, the perspectives of others. One thing as well that I'm also quite curious, because as women, and also because like some of us, I would say, are mothers, or some of us are also, in a way like contributing more to family as well. Would you say that, like that's also another barrier when it comes to women in gaming, because of the perception that what many of have of us as homemakers, as mothers, as people that have family commitments as well?
Uh, Sorry, Kelly, is your question that the perception that females have family commitments as uh, parents and mothers, and how that affects their growth in their professional setup? Is that correct?
Yes, yes, correct.
Um, I can start there. Um, I think being a parent is an equal responsibility for both genders, but yes, from a perception standpoint, as you mentioned, it can be seen as more of uh, the female's responsibility, which is a stereotype and is like a cultural stereotype that has uh, been passed along for years. That being said, it is a responsibility for which the female needs to have adequate support. And I think looking at, say, people around me, seniors who are in different roles and are doing their jobs both as a parent, as a mother, and as a professional very well, it is, I think, definitely possible to do both, and to change that perception, or reinforce that perception that, hey, we are able to do both things well. I think firstly, it goes back to the role models point, that there are enough, if there are enough people who are doing this, it then becomes a norm. Like, uh, and maybe looking outside the industry also helps here. Like, say, for example, an Indra Nui, who has been leading PepsiCo while being a mother and a parent for this long, has done a great job of her professional journey. But in terms of the perception, I think it's something companies by themselves, as uh, what expectations are they setting with their hiring managers, with their leadership, with their senior folks who are promoting people, needs to be made clear. Because uh, in personal lives, people, including males, could have different responsibilities, but doesn't make anyone less qualified for the job, as long as they're able to deliver on their job. So I think people should be judged on the merits of what they bring to the table, what kind of deliverables they are able to uh, uh, bring and commit to within the company. And I think breaking perceptions is hard, but I think it's a conscious effort that we need to make. And as companies and as leadership groups, that needs to be kept as a question at the back of the minds, that we should judge people on the basis of what they bring to the table and what they're able to add value as. Kirti?
Yeah, yeah, Kalyani. I think the support system I mean, plays a great role. And again, it boils down to the same thing that, there's a long standing quote that behind every successful man, there's a woman. Now, what does a woman indicate here? It's basically a support system. And how I would read it in the real world is, for anybody to be successful, be it a man or a woman, you need somebody who's, shouldering the backstage part of your life, which not many people know of. So that system, I think, is non-negotiable. Like, it's very hard for somebody to actually thrive if they don't have that in place. And yeah, the hard reality of life is that when it comes to being a parent or bringing up children, yes, women are more synonymous to that role. So it's not much that we can change about it. But yeah, whatever levers that we have in terms of making sure that we have enough people to bank on, and which help us actually focus on what we need to focus on. So that bifurcation is very important. But I would say, being a parent myself, I would say that it's very tough. There is no doubt in that. But again, it all boils down to the challenges that one wants to take. With every challenge, there's an opportunity to grow, and there is also a bit of sacrifice that comes along with it. So it's never, all gains. Obviously, you lose a few things in the path as well, but it's a personal choice that every leader needs to make. And I think some of our audience have posted a few questions, and one of them mentioned that, what the male colleagues can do to promote women empowerment, and even uh, as organizations, what we can do. So I would like to say that, make sure that the women in your team are made feel inclusive. And when I say inclusive, a lot of times it could be that, when you're brainstorming, somebody comes up with a good idea. You may think it is a good idea, but you may not voice it. So make that attempt to credit somebody with that good idea, right? A lot of times, when women voice themselves out, I know some of them would hold back, thinking that, okay, is it a great idea or not? Right? So these are small subtle ways where you can make sure that, you're providing a good morale boost to your colleagues. And see, at the end of the day, people should earn position by merit. But you can do all these tidbits from your side, wherever you feel that you can motivate them, you can acknowledge them, you can tell them that they did something really good, and the different perspective that they bring, if they were able to view a problem in a certain light, come up with a different solution. So yeah, probably just be more cognizant and acknowledge those tiny bits. Yeah. So yeah, that would be my take. And yep,
Yeah, I
yep.
think there's one more question. Yeah.
um, Others are around how to encourage people to take non-conventional roles outside of tech and non-tech. Yep, I think that's also a very pertinent issue in our society right now. And how I would like to see it is, it boils down to a function of awareness, which is where the more aware you are of what all is happening around you, that's when people think that, okay, if I'm thinking about something, it's not an outlier. right? Things like this exist. So, I mean, it boils down to the colleges and the circle that you build around it. So make sure that you are aware of what is happening, what are the different trends. And technology has never been as accessible, and information has never been as accessible as it is now. So people do have every bit of information at their disposal. And now, it's just about being confident that you can carve a path for yourself wherever you decide to take a lead on. So, yeah, Kalyani, would you like to add to some of these questions?
Yeah, I think there's one question on like things organizations have done to implement organizations have implemented to promote women's empowerment and diversity within the gaming industry. um, I think so if we look at the uh, whole hiring funnel to the retention funnel within a company, I think there are different things that work at different stages. On the hiring side, I have seen a couple of things that have worked out or have given results are, if there is underrepresentation of certain communities, in this case we're talking about females, ensuring that your inflow of candidates is healthy. And how do you do that could be different by reaching out to specific groups on platforms like say LinkedIn, Discord, etc., to ensure you have like a healthy inflow of female candidates coming in. um, to during the interview process, how do you ensure that there is on a panel, if there is a female on at least one of the interview panels, it shows that the company is more inclusive. So soft signals like those, or during the interview talking about the benefits that you have, because it might feel and this is like based on feedback from say candidates that we've seen that uh, females might feel that asking about what say maternity benefits you provide or what medical benefits you provide, they will do, but it can sometimes feel like you're asking for extra. But if the interviewee itself is initiating these conversations to share them upfront as part of the later parts of the interview process, it can be seen as a more you're accounting for what the candidate will need to do their job well. And I think just you're still hiring people on the merits of the experience and the expertise they bring in, but ensuring that you have like a healthy number of volume of people that you're interviewing. That's one. And then I think while people are in their roles and while they're within the company, there are the basics of ensuring, and I think this is already happening across organizations, that you have enough rules and checks and balances in place so that there is no discrimination happening, and on the off chance that it happens, there are enough structures in place where people can escalate things and feel that the environment they're working is safe and inclusive. Are I think some of the things that come to mind there.
I think it's quite interesting that the both of you especially brought up in terms of the support system as well, because this is also something that I wanted to raise, especially from my end in terms of the discussion areas. Do you feel that, I mean, for both of you right now, and I know that Keerti, you already spoke about it earlier. Uh, I mean, outside of what we are all doing, are there really, I would say, like enough measures in place uh, to help women equally, be it from, I would say, multifaceted point of view, from not just, I would say, from a company level, but externally as well.
Katie.
Yep. Uh, uh, so the thing is that a lot of things have evolved. I mean, the fact of the matter is, it's not that the position that we are in is what was there from day one, right? So now, as you are growing up the ladder, we can't expect that everything will just change drastically, right? So for people also to build conviction, for people also to start understanding, no, it is natural It's not that the man of the house has to be looked at as a breadwinner. A woman can play an equal role too. So a lot of these things are very much ingrained in our society, and for a complete shift where people are actually able to look at both of them with the same light, I think it's just a function of time. It is a hard battle for sure. I will not deny that. People do work the same level, but the perception of even your friends and family may not be the same, right? They may still think that, okay, somebody is probably running the show where you could be the one running the show. So all these things are very much out there, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. But I think the most important part here is that you as an individual need to be true to yourself, where you should know what you're doing, why are you doing it, does it matter to you, and is it going to bring a positive impact or in any way send a positive signal to somebody who may be in the same situation as yours. So that's what I would say. You can't expect that everybody would be very supportive of you, and people will be just like out there, oh, you're working, so I will do whatever it takes. No, it may not happen that way. So I think those are the challenges that you have to navigate. But yeah, the sense of satisfaction obviously presides over, and you feel that, okay, fine, I'm doing something for a reason. So yeah, that's how I would look at it. But I do think that over time it'll only become better, because if you look at the younger generation, you can get a vibe that they're already looking at each other as equals. I know that in some of the conversations, people in my team have brought up that their spouse is looking has to relocate somewhere, so instead of her relocating, they are thinking that they will relocate because it's easier for them to relocate rather than for the spouse. So I think these are some good indications where people are actually moving in that direction. But yeah, it's a function of time, I would say.
Adding in terms of the support, I think, yeah, the support comes through, say, structures, and it comes through family and, the kind of personal ecosystem you have. Um, I think as uh, females are growing into these roles, we are going to have to problem solve each situation we come across, because there is no set template as such. But at the same time, speaking more on the structures part, I think there are structures or things that are coming in place that are evolving, which, say for example, uh, creche services in companies, or daycare services, or just having the affordability to have a full-time help at home. These are the kinds of things which maybe few years ago weren't really thought to be feasible. But now, as there are like more females who are mothers, who have other personal responsibilities also, are leveraging and are showing that, hey, it's possible to do both their, or all their, as you the word you used, Kelly, multifaceted jobs well. I think it's we are going to have to still problem solve and understand what solution fits best for each individual situation. But I think there are you have the capacity to adapt those solutions, and the environment is also evolving to provide you new solutions based on what you need. So it's uh, that's what I'll say.
Got it. Um, in terms of, I would say as well, and going back to whether or not if we are in a way scratching surfaces with the support systems, I would say that especially from my end, having all of these, it's not just a us effort, but more of a team effort as well. And it's also best achieved in an environment that is open, which I think kind of like also sums up what the three of us were also discussing earlier. I've also noticed that nowadays days there's a trend of creating diverse oriented games with inclusive narratives as well. to help achieve a much more greater understanding, especially for those that may not understand some of the pain points or some of the issues that women might also face in gaming as well. And what would you, from your expert perspectives, like to see what more can be done for the next generation of gamers?
You're mentioning about the next generation of gamers.
Yes, of gamers, yes, of women in gaming, not just specific to those inside the industry, but women also playing games, be it whether or not is it personal or professional.
Yep, I think that's a great question. And when we talk about gaming, it's a ecosystem basically. And what it means by ecosystem is that yes, every step of the way, you have representation. So you, whether somebody is making a game or somebody is consuming a game, you're thinking about how can it be more inclusive. And when we're thinking of making it inclusive, is where the design choices that you make, the kind of game that you're making, these are something that the developers can actually be cognizant of. Right now, the trend is that a lot of games are made knowing that 90-95% is a male audience. So the kind of art that they use, the depiction of women characters, you can make out that it's very much aligned to a male audience. And then there are these other set of games which have been identified to have, like 60-65% as women audience. And you can see a very distinctive narration, very distinctive art style, and game mechanics built with that in mind. But the best of the games should actually make a game where it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, and it has been made such that everybody feels welcomed in that game. And I can tell you something that Hitwicket is a cricket game where we actually have both men and women players. It's like a multi-gender sports team that you own, and we have been very cognizant of it. So we have about 20% women playing Hitwicket, which is actually one of the highest for any sports game. So we are very actively working on this, and I actually feel that more and more games should be highly inclusive, because that's when it becomes a very well-rounded game, a well-rounded team, because everybody knows that what I'm working on is getting consumed by both the genders. So I definitely resonate with that sentiment, and I feel that game developers should actually start actively building games with that in mind.
Totally agree. How about you, Kalani? What would you like to see more in terms of, the what can we possibly give back to the next generation of women in gaming from as what Keerti mentioned, yes, perhaps maybe we should have looked at it more from an ecosystem point of view.
Yeah. I think if you look at how women who are gamers or have been involved in gaming has been and has reached at a place, it feels like we're pushing this barrier and we're getting into it. And there are people who are females who are now gamers and are there in the ecosystem, but it still, there is a certain either you can say resistance, or there is an additional effort required to make way further. So if I think about, like, from a future standpoint and how a game should feel or how the ecosystem should be, I think it should be inclusive to the point it's unnoticeable. Like, for example, say if you're like making a puzzle game, one of the value proposition that you sell to players is that this helps you keep your mind sharp. And I know I'm digressing a little bit, but the players don't think that I'm going to sharpen my mind and like come and play this game today, right? They want to have fun and just use a good product or a good game and like spend their time on it. So when we apply that lens to like inclusivity in gaming, you don't want it to be like an artificially engineered, or somewhere where we are saying, okay, we have now four female characters representing these ethnicities, and that makes the game inclusive. I think that's like more artificial engineering and pushing things a certain way. uh, it, from an ecosystem standpoint, if you have creating teams who are more representative of the population, that just naturally helps you develop games and products where the inclusivity is more seamless. It doesn't feel like you're like artificially pushing something, and that way I think you are able to develop like products with more organically for the larger audience, including females, other underrepresented communities, and everyone.
I just spotted a question that was somewhat relevant to, I would say, what Kanye you brought up before as well. The question here asked by Sayak was that, do you think games that tend to cater to a female-centric audience has a stereotypical art style and characters? Yeah, maybe you might want to digress a bit more.
Yeah. So I think do games that cater to female-centric audiences have a stereotypical art style and characters? Yeah. So uh, that's what if you're when you start building any product or game, you have a certain target persona in mind, and then you have a product which caters best to that persona. So if you're building games keeping just like a female centric thing in mind or a male centric thing in mind, it's like a cue you're giving to your developing team that this is how you're going to approach it, and this is what is consumed in the market. So if that's the problem statement that the team is solving for, that you're making female centric games, then yes, you're going to see that in the art style or how the projects evolve. So and it's not necessary that it's happening across games, but it's a byproduct of how you're positioning, solving for the problem of inclusivity. So I think it just ties back to the
Absolutely
previous
agree with
question.
you. Yeah. Sorry, we have a fun question for Keerti right now. Hi, Keerti. Post the Hasha Bogle collab. Can we see Hitwicket doing more collaborations with cricketers as well in the future? Is that possibility open?
Yes, definitely. In fact, I would say this is just a stepping stone where we want to bring the real world and the virtual world together. And cricket fans have like a crazy fandom for the real world cricketers out there. And we just feel that, if we can build a connect for our cricket gamers to have a taste of real cricket as well, then that is something that we are very excited to build on. So, yeah, you could expect a few more things in the coming future.
Absolutely excited, especially coming from my end as well. I think we've kind of like crossed through quite a lot of the discussion points and areas. Very, very happy once again to have Kayani and also Kati together with me for this session. And thank you so much for your time. As part of our closing thoughts and also just to sort of like recap on what we've said, could I have either one of you perhaps to also help point us to the right way or any mentorship groups or any advocacy groups that perhaps the panel could also look forward to?
So is your question mentorship groups and advocacy groups that people who want to join the industry can like be
Yes,
a
yeah,
part of? Got it, got it. Um, I think I don't have like a list at the top of my head, but if you search on Google, I think you'll find a few of those. Maybe Keerti has more direct recommendations on that. But I'd answer that more broadly. That I think if you are interested in joining the industry, uh, there is enough information out there for you to just educate yourself and understand how things happen. So just start with that, like the strength. What are your strengths? You have enough information, so you can gather uh, uh, data on, say, what's happening, how a particular role works, what would you need to develop as skills. The second thing I would suggest is be out there, reach out to folks on LinkedIn. It could be people who are hiring managers, seniors in the industry. People are usually very nice and they respond and they'll help you understand how certain roles work, or if they have been in that role, they can help guide you. And it could be females and males, both. Like I've had some great mentors who have helped me understand uh, how my path or how my role would look like. Other thing, which, like, the last point I would like to highlight is, this is anecdotal data that comes across, is females apply to roles when they see themselves 100% qualify the job description, whereas for males that's like lesser, and this is all anecdotal. But if I have to just put it as a summary or a recommendation, is just apply, even if you like fit like a 60, 70%, 50% of the job description. Apply and see how that uh, goes through for you, because if you don't apply, then you're not getting that role anyway. So just be out there, use the strengths that you have, and don't hesitate to reach out to people where you know. But Kirti,
Yeah, Kriti, you can go ahead.
I just like to add a closing comment to this. If there are women out there, and the male counterparts listening as well, I think you should remember, never settle. There are enough opportunities in gaming or any other vertical that you want to be in. When you're working in an organization, I think in a couple of months you will get a pulse that what's the culture of the organization, and if you are a fish, are they judging you by your ability to walk, or they are judging you by your ability to swim? So make sure that you are very aware of your environment around it, and you should know that, is the environment helping you thrive or survive? And that pulse check you should have. And if it is about survival, no, it's probably not the best place. There are many opportunities out there, so be very sure to make pick something that helps you thrive, and that will make a big difference. You'll find great people, you'll find mentors in the colleagues that you work, the seniors that you work for. So never hesitate to take risk, is what I would say, and never settle. You know what you deserve, so make sure you're always fighting for it.
Both of those are excellent, I would say, recommendations and advice as well, and really, really very helpful. And once again, I'm ever so thankful for having this opportunity to speak to the both of you. Thank you so much, everyone. I think we can, yeah, wrap this up. Thank you. And thanks to all of the attendees as well that listened in for this session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.